the fact that the block rewards get cut in half means the price has to double or the miners are done, right? Because the miners adjust, the costs adjust to the price, and they buy more equipment, and they're running not at monster profits, but and so if you look at all the previous cycles, the fair value doubled. 150 is in the bag, and I'm just going to stick with that. I think we're going to 150, and I think there could be a positive above that.
The price of Bitcoin soared to nearly $46,000 on Tuesday morning, representing a 7% gain on the day and the cryptocurrency's highest level since April 2022. Morgan Creek Capital founder and CEO Mark Yusko says the crypto industry faces positive prospects in 2024. Amid the positive commencement of the year, well-known on-chain analyst Plan B expresses assurance that Bitcoin is on track to surpass the six-figure mark in 2024. Financial institutions predict significant Bitcoin growth in 2024, with Messari foreseeing $600,000, VanEck predicting $275,000, ETC Group expecting $100,000. Bitwise sets a more conservative target of above $80,000 for Bitcoin, citing its outperformance against significant assets in 2023 and potential ETF and halving impacts. Mark Yusko has consistently advocated his six-figure price prediction for Bitcoin since 2018, envisioning a target of $150,000 following the halving event. As the crypto markets surge heading into 2024, all eyes are on the impending decision regarding the launch of a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund in the United States. The SEC's deadline of January 10th looms, determining the fate of the ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF filing. Amidst the financial frenzy, the Bitcoin ETF landscape resembles a gladiatorial arena. Matrixport analyst Marcus Thielen predicts the SEC's likely rejection of all Bitcoin spot ETF proposals this month. In contrast, Yusko foresees the approval of BlackRock earmarks January 8th as a potentially pivotal moment when the ETF might finally get the green light. Let's dive into the video to explore Yusko's analysis for 2024 thoroughly. Before we start, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell icon to stay updated with the latest content.
I've actually been talking about this since 2018, which is hard to believe. That's 6 years ago. I mean, that's a long, but I've been talking about this cycle, this 14-year cycle that people are just sick of hearing about, but now it's here. I mean, we're days. We're a couple days away from 2024, and 2024 is the beginning. And this first year, 2024, we've got the halving, which takes the fair value from 51, 52. Let's just round it to 50 to 100. Okay. So 100. Then we get the beginning in June of the parabolic move of crypto fall. So we transition from crypto summer, which is that migration toward fair value, to the parabolic, oh my God, FOMO, everybody in the pool. And I've said this time, I think there's less leverage in the system. So maybe we only get 1.5 fair value in this cycle instead of the 2.3. That's max, and those guys are at 250, whatever. I'm probably in the 150 range. That's just on supply and demand of the halving and the change in the available supply. Well, then, in addition to the normal supply shock, we get this demand shock. And it's happening. January 8th, they will crown the king. Now, I'm weakening a little bit on BlackRock only. People have convinced me that there's enough going on that a few others are going to get approved. I still think they're going to give at least a couple day head start, maybe. But maybe they do them all. I don't know. But on January 8th, that is the day. The king's birthday, my little guy's birthday, my 12-year-old turns 13. So that's they're going to approve the ETF, and tens of billions of dollars are going to flow into it in that first week or so. And then ultimately hundreds, plural, of billions. I can't even put a number on what that could do, because we only trade $8 billion a day, and there's a whole bunch of people who've said they're not selling. I can't think of an asset. I really can't think of an asset where you had both a supply shock and a demand shock at the same time. I really can't. Other than oil, maybe in the 70s, maybe.
Yusko contrasts Bitcoin's potential in replacing gold, highlighting discussions of minimal allocations, typically 1% or 2%, akin to gold holdings rather than massive proportions. Larry Fink, head of the world's largest asset management firm, highlighted Bitcoin as a strategy against currency devaluation. In parallel, notable corporate players like MicroStrategy continue to invest heavily in Bitcoin. MicroStrategy's recent purchase of Bitcoin, worth about $615.7 million, underscores the growing institutional confidence in Bitcoin as a long-term investment. Yusko anticipates that institutions, including significant players like central banks, will start incorporating Bitcoin into their reserves, potentially displacing gold, particularly in a digitized world. Let's now shift our focus to a video.
Bitcoin is an institutional asset, but it also is, if you believe this as I do, if Bitcoin is the new base layer of money, right? Base layer of money, which is what gold has been for 5,000 years. Every central bank buys gold, puts it as the base layer, then they issue debt on top of that as currency. And then we all use credit cards and loans. And so you build this stack of quote unquote money, but the only real money, right, an asset that exists in the absence of a liability, is the base layer.
Yeah.
As Bitcoin replaces that, okay, because think about it, what people are talking about, people aren't talking about, I'm going to put all my money in the Bitcoin ETF. They're talking about 1% or 2%. Right? What is that? That's a gold allocation. How much gold does the average, even if you average a boomer, I don't know, 3-4%? It's not like they have 40% in gold. It's not like they have 50% in gold. And why do you have any? Well, it's my hedge. Okay. The hedging instruments are small allocations that have asymmetric upside potential in untoward outcomes, right? Hyperinflations, recessions, whatever. Why do people own gold? They own gold because it outperforms in times of difficulty, right? It zigs when everything else zags, and it over time accretes value because it holds its value relative to the asset you price it in, right? An ounce of gold is always an ounce of gold. Always. But we don't price it in gold. Right? We price it in dollars or yen or euros. Same thing with Bitcoin. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. It's just a digital form of this beautiful asset that existed for 5,000 years, where the stock, the amount that exists relative to the flow, the amount that's created new every year versus what's lost or stolen, is pretty low. So the stock to flow ratio is very high. Bitcoin actually now is higher. And so in that world, it's exactly as you described. Bitcoin is kind of like I have some, it's my hedge against disaster. It's my FU money, my run-in money, whatever you want to call it, and institutions, the big ones, central banks, are going to start buying it. And then ultimately it displaces gold in a digital world as we move completely from analog to digital, and everything's digital, which I think is going to be the case. In that world, that is the base layer, and then all this other tech stuff. And whether it's Ethereum, and now you got the Solana people saying, "Oh, look, ours is much better." And it's so funny because I have I'm of two minds of this. I believed what the people told me, that Solana had fixed their problems, and the price says they have. And I've been talking to some other people saying, are you freaking crazy? No, this is just a pump and dump. This is a bunch of people pumping the stock. I mean, that's not pumping so that they can liquidate the FTX bag, and everyone's going to be very sad when that happens. I'm like, oh, so you mean they haven't fixed the transactions. And the guy sent me a log of all these transactions that didn't go through. Like, but they told me they fixed that. So they lied. And then you have the problem of the increasing supply. From the last time Solana was $265 or whatever to today at just over 100, we've increased the supply by 100 million tokens. Wait a second. So I think ultimately tech wins, and where the developers develop, which ain't close.
As 2024 kicks off, various organizations forecast substantial growth for Bitcoin, with price estimates spanning from a modest rise to $80,000 to an astonishing surge surpassing $600,000. However, despite Bitcoin's rally at the start of the new year, it experienced a reversal on Wednesday. Historically, January hasn't consistently been a robust month, for Bitcoin has concluded positively in 5 out of the last 11 years, as reported by CoinGlass. What is your stance? Will Bitcoin end January in the green? We appreciate your input. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this content helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to stay updated. Thank you for joining us on this journey.